And welcome back to another episode of the Candid Coxcast, where my friends and I basically talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to coxing and rowing. So today we have some really awesome guests. I'm super excited to actually kick off kind of a mini series with you guys. So you guys are kind of the first ones on the varsity mini series where we're doing some pretty awesome rivalries. So let's kick it off just introducing the co-host. So if you don't mind, Joachim, take it away. Tell me a little bit about yourself. And then, John, we're going to talk to you next.
Great. So I graduated in 2019 and had the best time at Berkeley. I was in the 2016 National Championship crew and spent my 4 years in that varsity just under Mike Tatey and Scott Franson, and absolutely loved my time there with the guys and in the US in general. Now I'm back in Denmark, rowing for the Danish national team, trying to qualify for next year's Olympics while doing my master program here in Copenhagen, where I live and working a little bit on the side. But yeah, I definitely reminisce those days at Berkeley. So it's going to be good to sort of get into it a little bit again.
Good. That's awesome. Well, we're definitely going to get there. And before I go any further, did I say that we are actually talking to Cal rowers? I don't even think I said that. So we're definitely kicking it off with the Cal Golden Bears episode. So John, go ahead and take it away. Tell us who you are.
How you doing, guys? I'm John Amorosana. I was a 2019 graduate from Berkeley with Joachim as well, and I was a member of the 2017, 18, and 19 Cal varsity, so I got to spend a lot of time in there with those guys and see how stuff operates, and it was a privilege to row at the highest level, and we definitely had some great experiences. And now I'm back here in New York. I work in venture, and it's a great honor to be able to have this conversation and be a part of Whitney's podcast.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Well, first of all, let's kick it off with why you even picked Cal. Why did you go to Cal in the first place with so many options? Clearly, there's some talent here.
I think actually Joachim has a great story about why he picked Cal. There's no intentions of coming to the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, I was the only, not the only, but the first Danish male rower to really go to the United States. And so I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And I'd done some junior world championships, etc., but nothing on a major level. And so I was basically looking at it like, okay, I want to go to the US for 1 year, probably, and just kind of feel it out. And so I thought California would be a kind of nice place to be, and I'll get a surfboard and try to surf and, I don't know, chill around a bit. And I thought we were going to be practicing like 4 or 5 times a week. And I messaged, I emailed Mike Tatey saying like, hi, my name's Joachim. I'm like 6'7". I can do a decent 2 gig. Can I come? And he was like, yeah. Talked to Scott after, and they were like, okay, cool. Let's get it on. And I came, and it was obviously like just full on crazy within a couple of weeks. Just, yeah. It was not what I expected. And then after, like, I don't know, it took me a couple of months and I was just sold, you know? But it was definitely just, I told my family, my friends, like, yeah, I'll be gone for like 1 year and I'll check it out. It's going to be like my sabbatical year before going into actual uni in Copenhagen. But yeah.
Look how it turned out.
Look how it turned out.
He stayed.
No, I mean, yeah. It was like the weirdest coincidence to it was actually my dad like yelling. I was standing in the kitchen at home yelling like, oh, do you know Berkeley? I didn't really know Berkeley. Like you should try and like email them. Yeah, so it was like a weird, nice like journey getting there. Yeah.
So it wasn't at all what you expected?
No, because I didn't really expect anything. I didn't even know. I just kind of wrote them an email, took my test, got on a plane, and I was there. It was like a very, I don't know. It was like a very just like snowball.
Nonchalant trip.
Yeah, just like, let's see what happens. I'll just go. I talked to Scott before one time. He was great. I didn't know any of the guys there. Yeah. So it was just, it's like, I think I was just super, super lucky. Getting
Wow.
to that program and getting in with those guys. It was like, I'm very, very, yeah, grateful for that little bit of luck I had there.
I have
Did
a
it kind
really
of light your fire a little bit more? Like once you were actually there and you kind of started training more and more and more and you were actually part of that culture?
Yeah, it was awesome because I came from Denmark with, I don't know, 5 heavyweight rowers, and I had never experienced competition at that level. So when I got there, and there was like what, 50, 60 guys in a crew, and they were yelling and screaming, and Mike is yelling, and Scott is yelling, and like everyone is just like, there's so much energy and there's so much competition. I'd never experienced that, and luckily, I came in and I did pretty well. I had some injuries, but I kind of bounced back, and it was just it. I really benefited from getting exposure to that competition because I'd never experienced anything like it, and definitely like the Danish culture is like you can't have that environment here. There's just not enough talent, so it was really special being exposed to that.
Oh, that's really cool. And I'm sorry, John, I interrupted you. What were you
Oh,
saying?
no. I have a kind of a really funny story about my first experience with Cal and kind of how it got into my head of wanting to go there. And I was maybe 15 years old, and I was at like some club national championships in like Ohio in like the middle of the summer. And there's always like a coaches fair where all of the collegiate coaches come down and they kind of scout the rowers. And I remember all the rowers were under this one tent, and Mike was just at like the other end of the regatta, just like on his phone. And for some reason, I don't know where the like audacity came over me. I went up to him with this little piece of shitty paper with like my accomplishments on it. I never won a single race in high school. It was so bad. I don't know who told me to do it. And I went up and handed it to him. I was like, "Hi, Mike, I'm John. I just wanted to introduce myself." And I handed him the paper, and he literally like handed it right back to me without even looking, and just said, "I don't want this." And then he got on his phone and walked away. And that was my first interaction with Mike, like 3 years before I got recruited. And
Oh my God.
I think it's so funny, like the transition of like that's how it started, then to where it ended up being. But yeah, like
Oh yeah.
Cal was like never it wasn't something I was like from the start, like the precipice of rowing, like that's where I wanted to go. Like I didn't even think it was an option at the beginning. And then when it got kind of further through my high school career, I was looking at like I was kind of between Cal, Harvard, BU, and Columbia. And then I went out to my visit on Cal, and I was like, "Oh, this is like a lot warmer, and it's a lot nicer than the freezing cold tundras of the East Coast." Because I grew up in New York, and I kind of wanted to see something new. And I was, if it even came down to something like Cal or Harvard, it was like they're both basically the same caliber school academically, but Cal's going to give you a better chance to win year in and year out, and that's kind of just what set it over the edge. And so that's kind of how I picked it.
That's so true. It's funny you say that. My brother now lives in New York and is obviously from here, from Newport Beach, and rowed for Columbia. Mm-hmm. And I will never forget the first time he called home in winter, and he was like, "This is horrible."
Oh yeah, on my
I want to come home.
Water was freezing on my like jacket. I had this parka on, and I was like, "Oh no."
Yeah. He was like, "Rowing in the Hudson, you have no idea. This is terrible."
It's a hard bargain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I want to jump right into kind of talking about the culture and race plans. I mean, obviously, watching you guys race is what people really look forward to. Mm-hmm. And so if we can talk a little bit about how you guys kind of put such a good race down time and time again, and we'll dive into that a little bit. And then kind of start to move into a little bit of that rivalry with UW and kind of how those rivalries play into kind of lighting that fire to getting, throwing those races down.
Yeah, I think one thing was very uniform across all of our races, and especially Culture at Cal, is that there was never a idea or a thought to race from behind. And if you kind of watch any of our races, it's always kind of the get ahead, stay ahead mentality. and we're always trying to lead from the front. And if we die later in the race, that's life, and that's rowing. But we never planned to come back in the middle of the race or let someone get ahead in the beginning so that we had more. There was never like, oh, reserve some. Like you're going for it in the first 10 strokes, and it's, if you don't, you've lost the race already. And we've had races like that where if we fuck up the first 20 strokes, it's going to cost us a lot, because that's like our chance to get ahead, establish a lead, and then keep it there. And so as soon as we saw that we had a lead, we always tried to get a little bit more. And kind of being hesitant about that is very dangerous in a race plan, especially when you have a strategy like that. And so it was not high risk, high reward, but there was moderate risk, because if you're using that much energy early on and you're not doing it efficiently, you're going to get rode right through in the third quarter, fourth quarter of the race. And so that's kind of how we went about our race plans.
Yeah, it's a tough program. Like people, there's a lot of competition. People are tough. They're very strong, and the whole culture of Berkeley is very proud, and it's like a kind of like a, I don't know if I could say a gritty way to row, but it's like you grind a bit, you know, and that definitely carries over into the race in terms of like I always had the mentality like there's no one out there like we're the toughest crew, you know, and we're the most gritty crew, and there's so much pride in that program, and that definitely takes on like you want to at least lead the race. I've always liked that. You want to lead the race, and you want to kind of take your own destiny, or take your destiny in your own hands. And then if you're getting rode through, or if you can't hold the pace, whatever, like at least you're like kind of rather die in front than never to have been there, you know?
Yeah.
But definitely that toughness and the pride definitely carries over into that race plan of just going out very aggressively.
Yeah, I think that's something that both Mike and Scott did very well, of kind of instilling those values in the guys over the years during practice. Like they're very intense practices. We've had practices that are debatably more intense than some of the biggest races that we've had, just because I would almost argue that the guys internally at Cal are more competitive than us against other teams. So you train how you want to race, and so we have those very intense practices where you feel like you're sitting at the IRA, and we're able to replicate that pressure and that intensity day in and day out. And I think that's what kind of separates a team that has the potential to medal at the IRA versus one who's just trying to make a certain final.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is you're basically just comfortable next to those other boats and kind of feeling that tension and feeling that way every single day. So when you get to the starting line, it's normal. It's a race.
Yeah.
Another day of practice.
There's a lot of things that goes into perfect practice per se, because we always, and that of course backs intensity, but we almost always do kind of paddle battles, or like battle paddle, or whatever you call it. So it's usually like it's usually like the top 16, like 2 mixed 8s of the varsity, the JV, and the 3 and the 4, whatever. Like, and they're usually like right next to each other and doing drills and doing steady state or doing harder workouts. And so like the perfect practice is of course a practice where both crews are doing well, not only in its own boat, but like as a unit, because it's a big team and it's very easy to get locked up in your own boat. But it's like it has to be a bit bigger than that, you know, because we've definitely had those intensity issues or whatever, where one boat is just like stomping on another boat, and then it like defeats the purpose of the practice a little bit, because then the group doesn't kind of move up to a better level. But yeah, getting out like 2 good 8s, doing hard steady state next to each other with like some competition, some good competition, but not like excessive competition where you're just kind of stomping on one another. But good competition, knowing that we're kind of in this together, even though we're competing with each other. We're still like in a group. We're on the same team. Yeah, and then just doing like mornings, like 20, 22K long mornings next to each other. That's like, yeah. That's
I think as like a foil to that type of practice, I think some of the most like potent and beneficial practices for us have been where Mike's like, take the varsity, go out on your own, go to the pit and back, which is only 10K, do it on your own, do it silent, and like blades aren't even touching the water. You could make any call trying to fuck the boat up, and like it won't be bad. You can do any drill, any combination, any pairs, and it's just perfect. And there's no one's like killing themselves. Everyone's just kind of very aware of what's going on around them, and it's like those really nice confidence builder rows I think are super important leading up to a big race, to where you've already kind of laid the foundation of the intensity, and you're just trying to build the confidence of the guys in front of you and behind you. And I think that's almost more of a perfect practice than those super fun, super intense, high level practices.
Yeah. I mean, as a coxswain, I love those as well. I love it when like everybody's senses are just so heightened, but there's like a complete calm. Like everybody's just kind of almost in like flow state.
Yeah.
And you could, like you don't even have to say very much. Every once in a while, maybe just a little reminder here and there, or say something here and there, or just kind of focus on your steering or whatever it is. But just kind of letting the boat just really loosen up and just go. And it's so nice.
That's kind of like a privilege I had being in a boat like that. Like I didn't have to say much. Like what am I going to tell these guys that they don't already know what's going on? Like a lot of the times, like you build over these months, you kind of build a rapport and a trust with everybody around you, and you don't even have to say it. If a stroke's off, usually the next stroke it's going to be fixed because they're smart enough and they're experienced enough to know what happened. And if not, if a few strokes go by, I'll like say something. But other than that, like clouding these like ideally peaceful rows with like kind of unwanted words is kind of unnecessary at that point. It kind of just takes care of itself. But it takes months and weeks to get there, and you need the base before you can even try that. You can't just take a boat of 8 guys you've never been with, go out, have a silent practice, and expect it to be great. It's gonna be shit.
That's so true. And because we get so many questions written in from coxswains, I just want to ask you kind of on that note, when it comes to a practice like that, I know you said you don't really talk too much, but how much are you talking in a boat? Let's say during a more intense piece or even a race, like a lot of coxswains ask about like the first minute of a race, like how much should I talk? What should I say? What should I do? So how do you kind of balance talking too much versus letting the boat adjust and fix itself?
Yeah, this is kind of something that I definitely learned the hard way over 4 years. And it's
I think a lot of us have learned the hard way.
Yeah, it kind of brought me from coxing a freshman 8 to coxing a varsity 8, and it's something that I had to get feedback from guys, and they had to tell me what's too much, what coming out of my mouth isn't landing or having any effect on the actual piece. And the higher up level of a boat you go, the less you need to say, because it's just these guys, their heart rate's at 190, whatever. They're hearing probably every 4th word you say, if at all. So anything you have to say has to be very decisive, very clear, and very pointed, and very in line with how you've practiced and set up. So if you're talking about the first 10 strokes of a race, you're assigning very brief, very pointed words at a certain focus for them. If it's calling like someone to like complete the first 5 strokes, you might just say complete a few times in the first 3 strokes. So they know that's all they have to focus on. Whether they're going hard enough. Like there's no doubt that they're going 100% in the first 10 strokes. So I don't know why you would be calling anything for like power motivation. It should be like a purely technical focus for the first 10 strokes, just so that no one's fucking up and, like I said, ruining a front-loaded race plan. And then as you kind of shift into that, you have to kind of, what is your individual boat like the most? Do they like you counting through the first 10 strokes? Is that what they want? Do they want a couple technical focuses to go in line with the first few strokes? And I think something important that we kind of focused on through 3 years in the varsity was how we go from those high strokes into a base rhythm. And we tried for over years, we developed a way how they wanted me to call it that worked best for them. And it's going through that process of elimination that kind of, it's going to be different for everybody. That's kind of the main part. But what's not different for everybody is that you can't be saying a lot, because it's just a run-on sentence, and none of it's going to hit at all. Give some space, let a call take effect, see if it worked or not. If it worked, good. Then think about the next thing. If it didn't work, re-clarify. If you say something and then you immediately see something after, you have no idea how that call worked, if it did or not. So that's kind of the one thing that's uniform across all boats, is just don't be annoying. Like that's
don't be annoying.
Don't be annoying.
That's
it's so simple.
That's my biggest piece of advice to any coxswain ever. And that's why coxswains at Cal either didn't make a good boat or made a good boat. You have to not be annoying to these guys, because they're even more temperamental when they're tired. And look at this guy right here got temperamental when he was tired, and he let me know, and it got better from there. But if you're annoying and you're not changing or listening to the guys, they fucking hate you. They hate you, and they're not gonna tell the coach, I want this guy in the boat. They're gonna be like, Scott, get this fucking guy out of my boat, because he's ruining the practice and I want to kill him. And so if you're talking, like, how do I make a good boat? Don't be annoying. Spend some time with the guys off the water. Understand what they want to hear, and also become friends with them off the water. So you're actually a friend in the boat that they could talk to and trust, not some fucking idiot that like they don't see ever besides in practice. And then when they do see him in practice, he's an idiot and he's annoying. You have to be friends on and off the water, and you have to be annoying on. You have to not be annoying on and not be annoying off the water. And so if you could do that, there's not a lot of reasons to not have you in there if you shut up and listen.
I mean, I have nothing else to say. I think you covered it.
Let's just call it a day.
Yeah. I mean, drop the mic. That was it. Yeah. So what do you think about, obviously, Joachim's been agreeing here. I think we all agree that was pretty solid. But what do you think about training with the national team versus training with Cal? Like, did you feel prepared, or how different is it training on a national team?
I mean, I definitely felt prepared for sure, because it's very it's not as intense here. There's not that much competition. There's not a lot of guys, and we have to kind of build. You have to work more, I think, you definitely have to work more with each individual, because you need each individual, right? There's not going to be anyone who can just take anyone's spot. It's very different. That goes back to like when I went to the US, I had no idea what Cal was like, because I had no reference point. I didn't even know rowing could be like that, and I'm so grateful for that. But yeah, it's more quiet right now. I'm in a pair. I used to be in a four. We're like 6 guys out on the lake doing our exercises and drills and workouts with a coach that's also very timid and like
maybe sweating every now and then.
Yeah, it's like there's not a lot of medium like intensity. Is like either it's very low or it's super high. But it's definitely just like the culture is just it's professional, but it's just a bit quiet. There's not that college like yelling and energy, and there's a lot of guys like battling it out. I really miss that. So the national team is different. It's perhaps a bit more, I don't know, like professional. People go, they do their things, and they just leave. There's not that much
less variables.
Bonding, yeah.
Do you miss having coxswains, annoying or not?
I mean, I miss having John around.
That's it.
But I don't miss having a coxswain. I mean, I would do anything to have a good Danish 8. But We don't. We need.
I can't believe you can't find 8 giant Danish men.
Oh, we can
put in
find
an 8.
big people, but theirs is not very. Yeah, I hope there's like there's a kind of a new group forming, and I hope they're gonna be good. But it's so difficult when you don't have that big base, and you don't have that culture really.
Yeah.
As I said, I didn't know rowing could be what it was at Berkeley, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. So if people don't have that experience, I can easily see them being a little bit less motivated. For sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so what about, I mean, really for both of you, because you have a lot of experience here, what about racing at something for the national team? I don't know if it's a World Cup or whatever it is that you're going to versus like IRAs.
For me, international racing is actually easier because the IRA, first of all, it's a whole year and it's all you talk about. You talk about it every day. There's like, you love these guys. Like it was so painful for me to see some of the guys lose. Like my sophomore year when some of those, junior year when some of those seniors I'd been with for a couple of years, they didn't win. Like that just broke me,
Yeah.
So there's a lot of feelings stored. There's a lot of pride in that college program. And it's just, it's making you like shake before you go, it's like, it's unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't experienced anything like that before. It's like, it's insane. I'm getting all emotional just talking about it,
I know, me too.
Yeah.
Like
it's the craziest feeling. And you would do anything not to let those boys lose.
Oh yeah, it's super special because you're with these people usually 24 hours a day, like not because you live with them, you go to practice with them, you go to school with them, and in those 24 hours you're only thinking about rowing. You're not in school. They're lying if they tell you they're not thinking about rowing. Like you're thinking about the practice you just had, you're thinking about the practice you're going to have, and you're thinking about the race you're about to have, and you're with that person usually sitting next to you because everybody takes class together. So you spend basically 365 days a year thinking about rowing, and all you want to do is win, especially when you're in a position to win, to where you always have that pressure and you're thinking about it, you're sweating over about it, you're crying over about it every day for years and years and years, and it's very difficult when you don't win. Like I can't even verbalize it really, but it's like it's pretty world crushing when you don't win, or if you don't perform up to the standard that you expected of yourself and of the people you practice with. But like, there's also never any doubt that like everybody tried their best, which is nice. Like I never have to worry about any of the guys in the boat. Not like if we lost, I'm not worried that like it was an effort issue. So like losing those IRAs, sometimes like we've won some, we've lost them. Like when we lost them, it's a different type of sadness other than I lost the race. It's like, oh, that family, that boat isn't anymore, and now we're on to a new one. But you have like I don't even know how to describe it, but like you remember what it was like to be in that boat, and it's very sad that it's moving on. And so like you said, when we saw those guys in 2017, 2018 that we've rowed with for a lot of years and a lot of days and a lot of hours move on after not winning those last couple, like it's difficult because you almost feel like they had their trust in you to win their last one for them. And so like it's a weird dynamic, but it's definitely very hard to deal with in comparison to international racing where you don't have that base of days and hours of a common goal, of a 24-hour common goal.
Yeah.
I mean, to comment on John's, like some true, but of course, like international crews train just as hard on the hours than a college crew, right? And the level is like obviously a bit higher, and like people trying to qualify for the Olympics have thrown everything at that goal for 3-4 years. So nothing against that. It's I think the difference is like there's only 4 races like 4
Yeah,
hours,
that's
right?
true.
There's only 4 hour race, and you have on top of that, you have like the whole history of, in our case, Berkeley. Just like, oh my God, you know all the names, and you know who won what races, and you wanna be a part of that history. And you live with the people you race with, and they're your brothers, and you love the coaches, and like you just love that program, So I think it's like an emotional connection
Yeah.
that's a bit different to those of the national team. Not that the level is higher, or that we want to win more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're
Yeah.
constantly surrounded by history. Like going to the boathouse every day, you see the pictures, you see the names, you have the alumni that come in all the time and tell stories, which is super cool to hear. And you're like, oh shit, I could be that one day, or I could do that one day, or I could even know this person or have a conversation with him one day. You're kind of constantly surrounded by history and greatness, which is really cool to be around, and that kind of just strengthens the bond and strengthens the experience.
Absolutely. I know, being even a woman on men's teams, I always tell people, like, the beauty of being that is that you get to see these guys at their highest highs and their lowest lows.
Mm-hmm.
And not a lot of women get to be part of that and get to see that. And so when guys lose, I think it's more heartbreaking than seeing women. Like when you see a boat of grown men in tears, losing, like after losing the race, I have to leave. I can't, like, I can't even like think about it right now. It's like, it's awful. Like, it's awful. So
it's a rough day.
It is
rough or a very good day. Yeah.
It's
exactly.
Yeah. We've had those good days. We've had those bad days, but usually like the day of losing, pretty shitty. The night of losing, usually we're all together and we have some drinks, and it's forgotten about for a couple hours, not forgotten, but set aside. And then the next day, in the coming weeks, you kind of think more, and it's still shitty. But like usually, you in the same day of losing, you can reminisce over the good parts.
Exactly, and I definitely want to talk about some of those good parts because you have a lot of them for sure. So, head of the Charles. First of all, you guys did really well at head of the Charles.
Sure.
Tell me just like really briefly a little bit about that.
Sure. Who you want to kick it off?
Go ahead, Johnny.
Okay, so I got to race the Charles 3 times during my Cal career. In my sophomore, junior, senior. In my sophomore year, won the Champ 4. In junior year, we won the Champ 8 and set that record. And then in my senior year, we got 4th, which was not bad, not a bad performance, but I don't think it was everything I hopefully wanted, but still a good experience nonetheless. But I think the Charles is a super fun race to do. It's like you're just out there having fun. You're racing an international variety of crews. You get to race for 4,600. I think that's what it is. 4,600 meters, which is a different format. It's kind of fun. We have fun out there. In the warm up, you get an hour to go out there and chat shit to everybody, and you're in a new place. You're in Boston. Usually it's pretty bad weather, but the year we won that 8 and set that record, it went probably one of the best conditions for rowing ever. It was like 75 degrees. It was flat. It was like glass, and we went out there and we were like having fun. I don't know if Joachim was having fun because it was hard and he stroked it, but we had fun. And like that was like going into those special events, I guess you could call them, is a very fun experience for everybody. We get to travel to the East Coast. We get to stay in a host family. We get to have nice barbecues, have some drinks, have a good time. And I think that levity and those good experiences translate well into a good race, because we were, if there's one thing with the Charles, we were never stressed about it. Like it was a fun time.
Yeah.
Like, if we lost, it didn't mean anything. If we won, it was great. And that lack of pressure and only focus on having a fun and good race always translated well.
Yeah, the stakes are different. The stakes are really different.
It's an important race. It's an international, one of the top races in the world. But like, if we lose, we're not going to be crying. It's a big race to show the country and the alumni and everything that we're up to caliber. but getting second and not first, we're not like, oh fuck, the IRA is done. and so like we have many months, and it's a good teller of what are we doing right and what are we doing wrong, and it lets us now build a base for the spring. And so like it was always fun. Like when we won in 2017 fall, that was our junior year. Like we got to start second behind Washington, and we got to chase them for that race. So we're like, oh shit, we get to start second and Washington's in front of us. Like 2017 fall is when we had the 8.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
but
so
did you start second? Yeah.
We started second, and then we had Washington in front of us. And so we're like, oh fuck, like what a fucking great draw. Like we get to chase these guys. I'd rather start second than first any day. Doesn't matter. Like an open course doesn't matter. Like you only see people chasing you, and that's pretty shitty. It's hard to kind of base your thing. And so like we get to chase Washington for, what was it, 13 minutes and 27 seconds, I think. Like that's fun. That's a fun practice. That's like there's nothing wrong with it. Like it's kind of a good weekend for everybody. And so it couldn't have been built better for us, condition wise, order wise, and actual execution wise, because we started, it felt good, kind of stayed good. There was no really lulls in the race ever. We got to pass Washington towards the end. Like it really couldn't have been better.
That's awesome. Yeah. And for people who have not raced the Charles too, having perfect race conditions is so rare that it could be snowing, it could be sunny, you could have 30-mile-an-hour winds. Getting good race conditions on the Charles is like a godsend. The amount of times that I've raced that race and had like good conditions is rare.
I've raced it 7 times, and it's been shitty 6 times, except for the year we won the 8. Like not even like shitty, like 40-mile-an-hour winds, like white capping as a coxswain. Oh yeah, you're just like eating water. It's so bad. Like you can't even, like the mic isn't even working. Like no one hears shit. Like it's kind of
year actually. Because we did a paddle before that 2017 year, and Christoph, one of the guys, he had an exam back in Berkeley, and so he was gonna fly on Saturday, and we were racing on Sunday. And so I think actually Mike Tatey was out with us.
He hopped in the bow.
He hopped in the bow, and he was crushing it. And
we were doing like
paddle. And I remember Scott standing on the shore and being like, "Oh my God, this is gonna kill the guy."
We were doing full pieces. We were up at like 38, like 37, 38, and he was holding his own.
Yeah,
I was yelling at him. I was hyping him up. It was fun.
Yeah, Mike's
that's awesome.
But just that kind of loose feeling, and it's fun to get to travel. I mean, it's too bad there's only an 8 and a 4 going. It would be nice to have more guys going. But just to get to travel in that fall season, which can be a bit long, is great.
Oh yeah.
Now we started talking a little bit about chasing Washington and the history, and like how much the history kind of plays into how you race. So let's talk a little bit about the duel, because this is honestly a very exciting race for me. It's very fun to watch, and people are just so into it. Like there's so much history behind this race. So when you start thinking about the duel, what does it look like? Are you seat racing, training differently? How are you sort of prepping for the duel?
We're still kind of in the mix of seat racing and stuff like that. Usually the prep is not super long. It really depends on how, for example, the varsity has been doing. And so some years I think I raced it all for 4 years in the varsity.
We both won 2, lost 2.
Yeah. But it really depends on how you've been performing thus far. But if the boat hasn't performed super well, obviously there's going to go some seat racing into it. But we're definitely tuning in and being super focused, and there's a lot of kind of pressure again, because you want to be a part of that history. You want to be be sort of written in books, or like having a little note that says you won this year over Washington, both at their course and at our home course. And you can feel, I think, almost even more so at Washington with that iconic bridge and stuff like that. You can really feel the tensions and yeah, like reading history, reading up on history, going up there. I've done that 2 times. You're just like, oh, we gotta crush these guys. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're always prepared for some wild conditions going up there.
Yeah.
That yeah, I believe it. And it looks like, let's see, 2015, 16, and 17 you guys won.
2015, 16, and 17. Yes, we did 3 in a row. Yeah.
Okay. How does that feel? You get to go up there and be like, well, we want to keep our streak.
Yeah, you're always trying to preserve the year before, and I think winning those 3 varsity shot cups was a big win for us, and it's a big confidence builder for the rest of the season. Like winning that race is great. Like it's a dual race. You get to establish who's better at the moment, and then it's a stepping stone of not being complacent if you won, or oh shit, like we lost by 4 seats. We have to get that back, and how are we going to do that going forward? Because you're racing them again in 3 weeks at Pac-12s, and then 2 weeks after that at IRA.
Yeah, but it is really just, of course you want to win and you want to be marked as like, okay, I took this duel for Berkeley or for Cal, but it's really just a stepping stone. Like test your form out, what's working, what's not working. Do we need changes? Like the coach will get a chance to see the boat in action. Usually we have another race the day after where you can try some different stuff, but it's like a test for the Pac-12, which is another test for IRA, because I mean you can lose everything and win the IRA and it wouldn't matter, you know. It's all about the IRA. Yeah.
So how much is that rivalry kind of built into your training? Like when you show up at Cal, like you didn't even know what to expect when you showed up at Cal. So how do you sort of learn to have that rivalry with Washington? Is it just someone tells you and so you just know I have to go beat these guys? Or like what does it start to mean to you to have this heated rivalry with them?
I think I didn't quite realize my first year the rivalry, because we won the duel, we won Pac-12, and we won the IRA, and I was like, that's amazing, but I didn't quite realize it until actually the year after, where I was also green, you know, I was new, I was just like walking around with these seniors and juniors and kind of just following. But then the second year, I think I was a little more tried and I had more sort of time to really look at all the people who turned up or pay more attention to like the alumni texting in and catching up, and you kind of get a hold of this big atmosphere and how many people actually cares, and people starting to text you after the races or ring you, and you know, so definitely after that. And then losing is of course like, then you really realize how bad you want it, you know, because it's fine winning, especially the first year, but then once you don't win, you really realize, oh, I have to win, because it really sucks if you don't.
Yeah. And how much of a role do the alumni play in kind of keeping that fire lit?
I mean, they how can I phrase this? They let you know that they care, and that makes it a lot bigger, because then it doesn't just become about yourself, you know. It becomes bigger than you right here, which is, I talk a lot about history and this Berkeley pride, right?
Yeah.
So them letting you know that, oh, we graduated 10 years ago, or 15, 20 years ago, and 50 years ago, like we're still showing up, we're still texting, we're still being a part of Cal, that really lets you know, oh, this is actually pretty big.
Sure, you get nervous, but I think over the years, like, nervous becomes something different than what it was when you were younger. It's almost like, I can't wait to do this. Like, I want to do this. Like, you're not like, oh shit, I hope I don't fail. Like, I hope I don't mess up. There's not the bad nervous energy that kind of could compromise your ability. It's kind of this, I want this to happen already. Like, can the seconds feeling like hours, like someone saying go already. Like, sometimes it feels like we're sitting in the block for an hour. But in terms of my comfortability, wow. In terms of my comfortability, I always felt very relaxed in those positions, and that was also on me to not be anything but that for the guys, because if I'm anxious, if I'm hyperactive during those times, it's only going to make the guys worse. And so it was kind of my responsibility to be calm, quiet when I needed to be, and like we would tell jokes on the starting line, we would have some fun. Like, we always kept it pretty light. Like, regardless of what the race was, the IRA, or if it was San Diego first race of the season, or if it was some scrimmage, like, we always kept it light because that was what we knew. And if we differed from that for the IRA, if it was light up until the IRA and the IRA was serious, angry, like, here we go, like it would have been, it's something new, and that's another variable. So we have to keep it consistent across the board, tell some jokes, keep it light. Like, in the end, we would always be like, it's rowing, like, you're not gonna die, like, it's just a race.
It's
like,
the coxswain.
Yeah, you could.
The guys were like, yeah.
You could afford. The thing is, you can afford to tell a joke in the 2 minutes before the IRA final. It's not gonna hurt you. It's only gonna help. Like, it's only gonna make guys more relaxed, ready to go. Like, I think, I forget what IRA it was, but I think it must have been 2018 in Princeton. Like, I think someone told a joke at the starting line, and I don't think I've like ever laughed harder. I think I like had to like bite my hand and like get a hold of myself, just because like everyone was having a good time. You're chatting shit to the guys next to you, like even up to like the last minute before. Like, sometimes people will talk to each other in the other boat, and like that's pretty fun. Like, in the end, like, everyone's friends with each other. No one's like, fuck that guy, like, I actually hate him. So like, why not have some fun?
I love so much that you said that, because I've had crews that are very experienced and very, I guess they had plenty of experience. There was no reason for them to truly be nervous at the line, except we were racing rivals and stuff. But I mean, could not take a joke. Like, things were not funny. They were very serious, very uptight, and we didn't win.
Yeah. I
mean, we couldn't I mean, I tried for an entire season to get these guys to just lighten up, and they couldn't do it. And it showed. It showed.
That comes down to like the personality of the guys. And sometimes people like that, although they may be faster and deserve a spot in a top boat, they won't be there just on chemistry reasons and the cohesiveness of the crew.
Yeah. Yeah. It's absolutely true. I mean, I think that kind of lightness just makes a massive difference, a really huge difference. Just keep things light.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Just every crew is different, you know?
Yeah.
And so some guys or some cultures would appreciate that lightness or that joke, and maybe it would be awkward, or people would feel off if it wasn't there. And then some programs or cultures or guys aren't gonna like that, you know?
Yeah.
So it's really also just there's no really formula for how it's supposed to be done.
Yeah.
We're definitely, I think, Scott was really trying to keep it light and try to make it fun. That was really one of his big things that he emphasized, and that worked great. The guys took it and ran with it. But I can also see some crews just perhaps not having that part in them, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's really just about modifying what works, what doesn't work. If these guys want to be kind of in their own little bubble, then I don't know.
Yeah. It's not a coach, a coxswain, or another rower's responsibility to kind of shift someone's personality to cater to theirs or the boat.
If some guy's a quiet guy, let him be a quiet guy, because if you're gonna try to make him not a quiet guy, it's gonna make him 10 times worse than the original quiet guy. If that makes sense. I don't even know how I just said that.
Yeah, and
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, and in race situations, when people are under pressure, they become kind of, at least that's my experience, they become kind of even more of what they already are. So if you're talking a lot, you're talking like crazy, like you're talking so much. And if you're a little more quiet, maybe you become even more quiet, and kind of just letting people do their thing.
Yeah.
Respecting that, like not forcing anything. That's just gonna keep people comfortable.
Yeah. Don't go against the grain on anybody's personality, because I've learned one thing: you can't change people. No matter how hard you try, you can't change someone.
God, amen to that. That is so true. It's kind of about getting those people and those personalities to work for you instead of against you. But it does take a little bit of adaptability, I think, on anyone else around them, coxswain, coach, teammate. You do have to kind of get that person on your side and use that to your advantage. So yeah, that's true. Well, before we ask you the last couple questions, I want to talk about a couple more things. I have a couple trivia questions for you guys about the duel. I want to ask you that I'm also going to ask the Washington guys. And I want to see if you guys know a little bit about the duel history. If you don't mind. I know it's really, you're like, oh God.
God's gonna have our ass.
Don't worry. It's not even, it's actually not that scary. What year was the first duel held?
Okay, let me think about this. I have a feeling it's somewhere in the 20s.
I was gonna say somewhere in the 20s too.
Okay, I'm trying to just get something in my head. Oh, you want to go with 28? Like, who am I kidding? I don't know it. So we're going off a guess here.
22, 28? I don't know.
Let's average that. Let's go 25.
25, Johnny? Maybe it is. Do you want to say 25?
Let's go 1925.
Okay.
Okay. It is 1903.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I can guarantee you they don't know that.
No, I don't think they're going to know some of these, to be honest.
All right, let's keep
some
it rolling.
Some of them are kind of hard.
I'm okay.
Okay.
Incohesive about the 20s. No, I see.
Okay. Where did legendary Cal coach Kai Ebright cox, which fueled the fire even more for West Coast dominance?
Where did he cox for Cal? I'm like 99% sure he did.
Oh, I honestly, my head was standing still. Yeah, he did.
The boathouse is the Kai Ebright boathouse. What am I saying? Yeah,
I don't know. I was thinking about something completely. I barely heard the question actually.
It's Cal. It's Cal.
Yeah, the statue of Kai Ebright got stolen.
The boathouse we go to every day is the Kai.
I don't know why we're at disgrace, but the statue of Kai Ebright actually got stolen. Remember that?
Yeah, it got found now.
Yeah, like a thick copper, I think copper statue.
Like brass, like solid molded statue of him.
I know the one.
Yeah.
There's even videos of him coaching and
it's Cal. It's Cal.
It's Washington.
Wow. Fuck.
I know.
You know what? This is a trick question because he coached at Cal, right?
He did coach at Cal. Yes.
Oh,
yeah, he coached at Cal because Washington actually turned him down and the Cal program was actually about to crumble. And so he took it over so the program wouldn't be lost.
Wow. I'm going to get a phone call from Scott after he sees that.
Like joking, we talked about history and this is what you give.
Yeah. Oh my God. This is funny. Really funny. 1981 was the first year that both teams did not row wooden pocock shells for the first time. What shell did Washington use?
Did they were emphockers a thing? Well, it's fiberglass because before carbon fiber was fiberglass. It could be Vespoli. I don't know how recent that is.
Yeah, should we say Vespoli?
I feel like Vespoli is a relatively new brand.
Good old West Poli.
No, I feel like M-Pockers are old as shit. I've seen some old ones of those.
I mean, honestly, John, I have no idea.
All right, M-Pocker.
You want to say
it is M-Pocker.
Great.
It's M-Pocker. Okay, good job. The duel has always been different distances. In 1968, the distance changed from what to what?
Surely it's from something to 2000.
Really, Johnny?
Oh, wow. I'm an idiot. It's either 1500 or 1000 to 2000.
You think it's shorter? Yeah. No, I think didn't they use
it longer?
Because I remember. I mean, I knew.
Oh, I think Rodney told a story of like a 3K race.
Yeah, because I remember this is all fucking in Boys in the Boat, right? And I remember reading that book, and I think they raced like pretty long.
Oh, I think it was in miles. I think it was like a mile. I think it was like a 2 or 3 miler.
Yeah.
I think because before
say it in miles.
What's up?
Let's say it in miles, yeah.
Well, I know the Charles is 3 miles, and that's 4,600, and that's pretty long. So you want to go 2 miles?
That's a long race, but yeah, sure. Let's say 2 miles.
Let's say 2 miles.
Okay, it went from 3 miles to 2K.
Fuck.
Close. Really close.
I had the right idea. 4,600 is longer.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is kind of a general fun one about rowing. What 2 decades were crews so wildly popular that they were ranked up there with baseball and football, where something like a coxswain losing their voice could make headlines, and people even collected trading cards of their favorite athletes. So this is 2 decades where rowing was just crazy popular.
Are they consecutive?
Yes.
Old, dude. Old. Trading cards?
Yeah.
Can you imagine
How cool is that? First of all, I want trading cards.
I would like some of those trading cards, actually.
I know, me too.
You
know what Joachim's hobby would be on his trading card?
What?
Women.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
Oh my god.
No, happily.
I want to say the 40s and 50s.
Yeah, I'll support him on that one.
Okay, it's actually the 20s and 30s.
Sick.
Yeah. Like, how cool is that? Like, I want trading cards.
Oh, yeah.
So cool. Okay. In 1907, the race was not finished. Why?
Sunk? You want to go sunk? Surely it's sunk or crashed or something like that.
Yeah, we'll say sunk.
You're right. Both boats sunk.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay. Last couple. Okay. In 1936, when Washington won Olympic gold in Berlin, how many Olympic golds had Cal already won? Which was partly what spurred the motivation to bring one to Washington.
2, right?
It's 2 or 1. I don't know if it was 2 by that point. I think did they win one after? Well, the next Olympics was canceled.
They did win one after.
Yeah.
So this is, yeah.
Okay. Should we then say 1?
I think they won 1 before, 1 after, 2 total. So let's say 1. We'll say 1.
Sure.
Okay, it was actually 2.
Johnny.
So you have 3. You have 3 gold medals. Okay, and you guys, I think already know this. What is the Duels Cup named after?
Fred Schoch.
Close.
Is it not Fred Schoch? The Fred Schoch Cup?
It is Schoch. Yeah. Okay. I'll give you that one partly. Okay.
Isn't it like a boatman?
We're gonna be so far behind.
Yeah, he was
a boatman, right?
He was actually the spare for the 1936 Washington Olympic team.
Oh.
Yeah. So
well, give us that point.
We'll take it.
I know that was. I mean, you did name the cup, so I'll give you that. Yeah. So wrapping it up, I want to know, first of all, thank you guys so much for your time for doing this and just talking about Cal and the legacy and like what it means to you and IRAs and everything. But let's finish up with some of your favorite memories. So on and off water at Cal, give me 2 of your favorite memories from being on the team.
You want to talk, Johnny?
You kick this one off because I have one. I have an off the water one. I'm trying to think of the on the water one.
Then say the off the water one.
Okay. I think this is a Joachim. This is one that me and Joachim had. And
Really?
it was watching a movie in our living room.
Talk about this one.
I ain't embarrassed. It was just so.
Oh, now I really want to hear it.
So we would watch a lot of movies because after practices in school you don't have a lot of energy, so it would just be order some sushi, maybe a little bit of wine or a drink, and a movie.
Sushi and wine, that's the go.
Sushi, wine, and a movie. We had dates every night.
Yeah.
And so one night we decided to turn on. Joachim, want to say the movie?
Oh, The Notebook.
The Notebook.
Oh, you guys.
And me and Joachim, we had a nice little date night. We had some wine, some sushi, and at the end of the movie, no one said anything. We just got up to the kitchen to throw out our sushi and like clean the wine glasses, and then we both looked at each other and we were both crying. And I thought I think that was like one of the funniest memories that I had of water.
I remember we talked about it in the airport because we were going home from Las Vegas, and we talked about it in the airport chairs, and Scott was behind us. Remember?
Yes, Scott was like, "What the fuck?"
I was like, "What the fuck are you guys doing?" Yeah.
Okay, I love that. I love that one. That's so good.
All right, Joachim, go with some on the water shit.
No, I was going off the water.
Oh, go for an off the water. I'll think of it on the water.
Yeah.
I got the on the water.
I mean, the obvious one is going to be winning the IRA, right? 2016. But I mean, that was just incredible. But I remember also the duel. What was it? 2017.
Up in Seattle when it was
up in Seattle, and we went up there. And it was like this crazy race, and Martin was taking his oar off the handle and screaming. And then after that, because we were going to go down and race Oregon. And then we had a night at a hotel. And just being together after that race, like after the IRA, everyone splits. And they go their separate ways. But after that race, like everyone was just driving down Oregon, down to the hotel, and we're just getting snacks, and everyone went out to eat together from the boat, and we had nothing to do, but like we couldn't do anything but just go out and eat together and have some beers, right? Because we're in this hotel in the middle of nowhere, and just there's a calmness to you when you win a race like that. You can't describe it, no, but you're just like nothing can do anything to me right now. I'm just like at peace, you know? And you just felt that way the whole day with all your boys. Mike and Scott was there in the hotel too. Like that's just like you could live in that feeling for so long.
Oh yeah, that race was also just so crazy because it was we went out to like the warm up area, and we were the last race. The varsity was the last race, and the conditions were like for the other races, not bad, not good. And then as soon as the JV goes off, which was the second to last race, as soon as they finish and like we're still in the warm-up area, it got so bad. Like it was like 40-mile-an-hour winds, raining. All the warm-up we did is gone because now everyone's freezing, sitting in the cold. And we're trying to get into these stake boats. And I think for like 20 minutes, we're going in and out of the stake boats because the lady can't hold on to the stern because it's so bad and blowing us out. And so after like 20 minutes, everyone's like shivering, freezing. No one has any idea what's going on. It's loud. You can't hear anything. And then we like kind of get into the stake boat, and we're like, you're as soon as you get in, you start drifting. And I didn't hear it. Nobody in our boat heard it. But apparently they said go, and you'd have like started. And then like 2 strokes later, we started. and then somehow we managed to get back in front and win that race. But that race,
back in like 300 meters.
Yeah,
it
took like 20 to 30 strokes to get back in front. But that race was so crazy. That race took like 6.5 minutes for a varsity 8, which is a minute slower than it should be.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Well, those are really good, you guys. Those are really good. Yeah. Thank you so much for all of your time and for coming on and just talking about this stuff. It's so cool to hear stories from you guys and from coaches and about the rivalries and the legacies. And so I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course, this was great to talk about this and reminisce.
Very nice. It was
good.
Super nice to talk about these things again. Yeah.
I'm so glad. Well, you guys are welcome back anytime. And where can people find you on social media? Like, can we follow you anywhere?
Plug yourself, Joachim.
You can follow, but I don't think you'll get a lot of use of it. I think I have like 9 posts, about 1 every year. But I mean, go and look up Joachim Sutton. You'll find what you're looking for.
Yeah, same for me at John Amorosana. Pretty easy.
Yeah.
Awesome, you guys. Well, thank you so much, and to everyone listening. Of course, you can always write into me, writing questions, topics to talk about, conversations, whatever you want to hear. Definitely let me know. The Candid Cox or Iron Will Wit on Instagram. I'm very active there. So we will be back with another part of the mini series. We'll be talking to Washington as well. So I'm really excited to hear about that. And for now, we will see you guys next week. So thanks a lot. Bye.
Awesome. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.